Today, farmers across the globe are looking for more efficient ways to produce food. With an increasing population, the need for higher yields is growing, and bringing with it the necessity for more sustainable, renewable practices.
As a fifth-generation farmer, I've been taught and learned that we want to take care of our land and land will take care of us. And over that time frame, we've had a lot of innovations in agriculture, whether it was using horse to tractor power or using hybrid genetics, or now in precision farming and micromanaging foot by foot as we go across these fields. Farmers are always looking for ways to stay as innovative as possible and continue to provide an abundant product.
One such method comes in the form of naturally occurring, nitrogen-producing microbes that help farmers produce high-quality, environmentally responsible, and sustainably focused food crops to feed families worldwide.
The soil is alive. Every cup full of soil is teeming with millions of microbes. And these microbes live in and around the roots of our crops. Now, some of them have the ability to produce nitrogen. They've just lost that capability because of excessive fertilizer use across the centuries. Now, what we've done, our microbes, we've turned that back on and reawakened the potential to spoon feed the crop its nitrogen on a daily basis. Now, for every farmer, this means less dependence on synthetic fertilizer.
Although the Earth's supply of nitrogen is abundant in the atmosphere, it is mainly found in the form of gas, making nitrogen unavailable for most plants to use.
Pivot Bio's microbes are attracted to the roots of corn plants, and they adhere to those roots and they live off sugars and other nutrients that are there at the root surface. And they use that energy to take nitrogen gas from the air and convert it to ammonia, which is a form that plants can then take up and use to grow. And so because those microbes are there throughout the growing season, adhered to the root, they're providing nitrogen day by day to the plant, and they're not being washed away like a synthetic nitrogen fertilizer would be.
At present, roughly half of the world is dependent on synthetic nitrogen fertilizers to produce food. But it comes at an environmental cost, contributing to dead zones in the ocean and releasing nitrous oxide into the air.
And farmers are always being asked to produce more. In fact, cereal crops are the backbone of modern agriculture. They are responsible for using over 2/3 of the world's fertilizer. And if we had to cut out that fertilizer tomorrow, our productivity would drop in half. And the reason for that is really because of the Green Revolution. We were able to find a way to breed more productive crops, have higher yield potentials, and fertilizer is the abundant fuel to help reach that yield potential. So it's been a phenomenal way to be able to increase the productivity of our modern agricultural system. Now, fertilizer also carries significant challenges because it's an inefficient process. It's hard to predict just how much nitrogen is going to be there when the crop needs it most. Challenging weather patterns mean that fertilizer can wash into our waterways or denitrify or become a greenhouse gas. And all of those mean that the amount of fertilizer we apply isn't necessarily the amount that's there during the growing season. The numbers tell us that about half of the fertilizer we apply ends up turning into a form of pollution somewhere in the environment. It's not actually turning into yield potential. Some of that fertilizer washes into our waterways. It creates dead zones and algal blooms. In fact, there's one of them where the Mississippi flows into the Gulf of Mexico, and it's large. It's bigger than the entire state of New Jersey.
As the first solution to alter current nitrogen application practices, Pivot Bio has tackled this decades-old problem with its clean alternative to synthetic nitrogen fertilizer.
Pivot Bio Proven is our first-generation product, and it's a tool that fits into existing nitrogen fertilizer practices. It's a microbe that lives on the surface of corn roots and provides nitrogen on a day-to-day basis throughout the growing season. And it provides the equivalent of about 25 pounds of nitrogen per acre.
The solution enables the microbes to convert nitrogen from the air through a biological nitrogen fixation process that feeds the corn plant nitrogen daily. These microbes then adhere to the outer layer of the root and form a symbiotic relationship with the plant.
Nitrogen fixation is a biochemical process that's carried out by certain bacteria. These bacteria take nitrogen gas from the air and convert it into forms that can be used by plants and by other living things. So for example, soybeans have a symbiotic relationship with rhizobia that form nodules on the root and then fix nitrogen in those nodules. In nature, that symbiotic relationship doesn't exist for corn plants. And so what we've done is taken microbes that naturally associate with the surface of the corn roots, and we've reawakened the nitrogen fixation process in these bacteria.
Pivot Bio's product will not leach or volatilize like traditional synthetic fertilizers. This means supplying critical nitrogen to the corn plant exactly when it needs it most. It also means improving water and air quality while reducing its environmental impact.
Well, as a farmer, we're always looking for innovative ways to continue to improve and allow a stress-free environment for our crops. And so if there's a product that will allow my crop to be fed throughout the growing season that might lower my costs with less passes or without putting so much food out at one time, having a product like Pivot Bio Proven is showing us that we can have that applied to our crop, and that plant will have ample food throughout the growing season on a day-to-day basis and have the nitrogen it needs to be successful.
Pivot Bio looks to the future with hope that producing microbes at scale could possibly replace synthetic nitrogen fertilizer and define the next stage of sustainable agriculture.
As a farmer, I'm always looking for innovative solutions to continue to supply the global food market and the growing population, and having a product like Pivot Bio Proven that allows us to feed that plant throughout the growing season and hopefully lower our environmental impact and continue for us to be sustainable and be successful long-term and future generations on our family farm.